one thing that you explained that stood out to me was we were talking with the previous guest. His name is Javad. The validity check is always one of my favorite things. I've been in beta for a while now. My favorite one is, are these the right users? These aren't the right this doesn't look like our customers. Our customers wouldn't say that, right? And you got to go do your due diligence and like say, here's who we recruited. This is what they look like. And they start poking other holes and trying to find a way to just disprove, right? I don't want to have to do more work because I don't believe your data because it's saying either my baby's ugly or my baby's broken or something. And it's just, we were just kind of joking around about that. And it's like, that's a thing in our industry. It's like you bring up a problem and you're just kind of using the voice of the customer to say, hey, dev team or product team, UX team, this is the feedback coming back from people. We asked you who you wanted on the test. We got your persona and your segments, and this is how many people, and this just the validity rundown. I felt it as soon as you said it. I'm like, oh, been there before.
Yep. And there are even further tests after that where they were like, well, let's try this. What about if we do this? Do you think sometimes you just got to pick your battles, right? Be like, cool, we'll do that. We can do it. And then you give us another 50 pair of shoes and we can put them on those people's feet. And, I'm not, speculating that the response, the results are going to be the same, but been doing this a while. I feel that it's worthy to at least, kind of quote unquote, prove your point. And go that route. Luckily, it was Yandara. You guys know Yandara well, probably. Who ran that test, and she has been doing this for a very, very long time. Is the best out there. So she was prepared for all of these conversations with very high level executives at a company she had joined. I think a mere month before. We were very prepared for the. You sure this is right? Or what about these people? Did you do this? And she was bang on with everything. So it was fun. It was not fun at the time, but it's fun to look back on now and talk about it.
Absolutely. You guys have the experience. Now, I'll pose a question. You may not have the answer offhand. What advice do you have to someone that's running into that? Someone that is presenting an issue that they found in this test, and a product UX engineer is coming at them. What advice do you have? Especially talking from a manager, what do you tell your employee?
I'm very, I split my response into trust the data, because data is not everything in what we do, right? People talk a lot about data these days and how important it is. And don't get me wrong, it's hugely important. But in doing what we do, it's the customer sentiment and the customer experience that is massive. So in addition to providing, here's the data that we got, X% of people said this was an issue. We also then broke it down into, here are some comments from people. And I think once you start getting comments that have a similar theme to them, which is essentially what we do, right? People start looking at it and going, oh, I get it now. So once you start hearing people complaining, like, it made my foot numb, it made, made this happen or made that happen, whatever. And then I think, because people can kind of understand that experience more than they can numbers. I can anyway. I'm not a numbers guy, and I'm not really a data person. I'm not an analyst. I'm very much a sentiment kind of person. And I think, as long as you can rely upon your data, knowing that you have, the right, kind of end value for who you're testing with, plus some, sort of customer feeling and experience, I think that goes a long way to helping prove your point. And there will be instances where people don't want to listen to it, and they'll push forward and they'll learn the hard way, because it happens. And I luckily have not had that happen to me, but I know it happens. Like, there are products out there that clearly haven't been through testing before, and you're like, this is dumb. Let's do this. Nobody ever told them it wasn't. Or somebody might have done and it went forward anyway. But that's kind of the thing that I would tell the team is trust in the data that you're getting and trust in what you're hearing from people. We know we've got the right set of people. We know we're asking the right questions. Trust what they're saying. And I think once everybody was behind that, I think it made those meetings as awkward as they could have been at times. I remember I was in the car on my way down to vacation in Paso Robles, and I was on the phone with very high-level executives, the CTO, the COO and co-founder, trying to make the point of this is what it is, right? We have the right people. There's little conversations like that stick in my mind. Yes, at the time it was awkward, and I had my mother in the back of the car listening to all this stuff. I'm like, really? You guys, I feel confident in what we're doing. I just feel less confident in my actual situation of being in a car trying to do this with. But those kind of things stick in your head.
That's definitely good advice. I love the flavor of what you're explaining is using something like a percentage, something very quantitative. This is the number of people, so you're showing impact, and following up with more qualitative things and stories, right? The comments that are coming through, because it adds more to the reliability of the data that
human
you're
element,
showing.
right? It brings in that kind of more, like this is the real user and this is how they feel, rather than like this is just a number on a dashboard somewhere.
Yeah. And I think getting is it's kind of not specific, but even if there were multiple problems, right, or similar problems, kind of focusing on the top one or two things. I think it's easier for people to digest, right? Like, don't go in there saying, "Hey, when I ride my bike, it makes a noise. The handlebars fall off, and the seat goes down." Like, let's kind of focus a little bit on, the most important things, so we can tackle that first. I think it's a lot easier for people to digest, smaller bites of data, right, than it is just to go like, "Hey, they have all these problems. What are we going to do?" It's like, let's give them recommendations. That was something that Centercode, kind of introduced me to many, many years ago, was recommendations, right? Where we're not just here to present data and go, 50% of people thought this, 20% of people thought this. It's like, give them recommendations. Like, hey, people would rather if we, if it worked a certain way based on this kind of data. I think people would find really interesting. And it's a lot more digestible at that point too. Whereas, just kind of, punting data over the fence to people and going, here's some problems. 50% of people don't like us. Like, what are we going to do about it? Like, that's not necessarily a beta job, but I think for me, it's very important to at least provide that recommendation. Say, hey, people are saying this, we think we should do that. What do we think about that? It might be an interesting conversation, or not. It could be.
Yeah, amplifying the voice of the customer is what I always like to say. Like, you are the voice. They're not there in the meeting. Yep. They gave you the data, and they're trusting you with the data to go get it.
Oh, we did have that too. We did have questions like, "Can we speak to the users?" I'm like, "We're going to go through this."
Probably not the way that I want you to, but
no, like, you're going to ask your leading question. They're going to ask leading questions and interpret it the way that they want to interpret it.
There's an art to it. I'm a user research in my past, and there's a way to ask questions in an unbiased and, like you're saying, not leading way. And you're trained to do that with surveys. You're trained to do that with interviews. Yeah. Same thing with responding to feedback. Like, you're looking to find the root of the problem. You're not looking to push your agenda.
Yeah, exactly.
Into shaping the data to something you want to see or don't want to see.
Yeah, it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations. But I don't have patience in life, but I do with things like this at work. I can get through it relatively easily if it's something that we believe in and we're behind. Like, it does take a lot of patience. Patience is a big thing in beta testing, especially when you're trying to establish a program or make a very difficult point, or really give some very difficult feedback to people. People don't want to receive bad feedback in any realm of society. So it's just one of those. Go in prepared as much as you can.